tales are told of Hades, whose reign as grim lord of the dead came to a sudden end when all at once his past caught up with him.
Hi there, this is not a review of Hades 2. If you want to know if you should buy the game, if it's worth your dollar, euro or whatever currency you are using to buy games, it's amazing, it's a great game, just buy it. Even if you're not into this type of games, buy it anyway. That's how good it is, right? You will learn to love it, right? And this is more me spending actually more than a couple of minutes, but like a couple of minutes talking about what I personally think like the reason it is an amazing game, what makes Hades 2 amazing. But before we get into that, I should probably say a few words about what type of game Hades is. You probably already know that clicking on this video, but anyway, I should. So Hades 2 is an action RPG and it's a roguelite game. It's not a roguelike game, it's a roguelite. So the difference is in a roguelike game, you go through the game. If you die to a boss, there's no save point, stuff like that, right? If you die to a boss or to any enemy really, right? You start from the beginning again and then you do the same thing until you like learn all the attack animations and everything about the game so you can actually beat it, right? A roguelite game is a little bit easy to get into in that you actually get something, and that was Hades does, right? It gives you something every time you finish a run when you die that you can use to improve your character and grow a bit stronger. So the game actually gets easier over time, not only because you actually get better at the game, but also because your character grows stronger. So that is what Hades is. But enough about that. Let's start talking about what actually makes Hades amazing. So first of all, the music. Like, first time I entered Hades 2, I just ended up like sitting down in the menu, like listening to the menu music in my headphones. Like, for how many games do you do that? Like, I don't. Like, I'm the type of player, what I usually do is I go like straight to settings and then I drag whatever like, you know, slider they have for music and background music in the game to 0, and then I use like my favorite Spotify songs or something while playing instead, right? I usually don't listen to the in-game music. The exception is games like Hades 2, where the in-game music is exceptionally good, right? So like the menu music, like retro vibes while being modern at the same time, it kind of brought me back a bit to like my old, like the old games I played when I was a kid. Like I'm rather old, right? So I'm roughly 40 years old. So we're talking like late 80s, early 90s, where they had like those very basic computer sounding stuff, like like Atari, but early on, like first Prince of Persia, for example. It's very electronic kind of sound, right? It has that vibe, but in a modern way, and like it's just extremely good, right? But that's not all. Like, if it was just the menu music, screw it, I would still like, yeah, I would sit there vibing for a bit and then I would hit the slider to 0, right? But it goes through the whole game. Like, the background music in the Hades 2 is more than just background music. It's like part of the gameplay experience. And there will be some spoilers here because I have to talk about like Act 2 or the second part of the gameplay because like that, the background music, the music shines so much in that part of the game. Because the end boss fight in that, like, there's probably a bunch of videos out there already about it, but it's a boss fight against some sirens, Scylla and her sirens, and like at the start of that map, you hear some faint background music. And the closer you get to the boss, you don't know that yet first time you play, but the closer you get to the boss, the louder the music gets, and you start hearing the voices and then like the vocals. And when you actually get to the boss, then it's a band of like hard rocking sirens, and it's a great song as well they're playing. But like when the boss fights start, they start to play their song. So they're actually inviting you to, well, they're gonna kill you, right? So the song is about drowning you, obviously, because that's what sirens do. But it's a great song, and there's actually more of it. If like, yeah, spoilers, I don't have to say. But like, there's some secrets to be uncovered there as you play the game, and like, it's even better, right? But like the way that the sound is kind of woven, is that a word? Like into the gameplay is just amazing, and that is just the background music. Then like all the different sound effects for your different types of attacks, like your footsteps, everything is just spot on. So the sound is amazing. As probably the best. I can't really right now straight up think of a game with like better soundtrack and better sound than Hades 2. There might be some up there, it's just that I can't think of one right now. So, moving on from sound amazing, to art. So Hades 2 also looks extremely good, and for me it's a bit nostalgic as well, because I loved reading comic books as a kid. I love that art style. I still do a bit of painting, and I painted a lot when I was a kid, and I tried to like paint my own comic books. So I kind of tried to paint kind of the style that Hades is, like all those hand-painted textures. Like I tried to do that style as a kid. I still kind of try, I guess. Try is the right word, not succeeding. But anyway, it just looks amazing. All those hand-painted textures, all those like great character designs. It's just so good, right? But this is a game, like this is not a comic book. And what Hades also does extremely well is visual clarity. And I think that's important because this is, like I said in the beginning of the video, this is a roguelite game. So when you die, there's no save point 2 minutes back to go back to. You start over again from scratch. So I think it's extremely important when you play this type of game that you feel like when you die, it was because you fucked up. Like, we're way past 30 seconds now or whatever YouTube, like before you can swear, so it's okay swearing now. I won't get demonetized for that anyway, and I don't swear much anyway, but I think it's extremely important that you feel that you fucked up when you die, not that you got fucked over by the game when it's this type of game. Otherwise it's not good. So it's extremely important that like how the game plays is very reactive, but also that you actually see what is going on, because in Hades you can have a lot of visual effects going on at the same time on the screen, like a lot of different attack animations, and I think Hades have done that extremely well. Like everything kind of pops. If you look at the game, if you look at the floor, you can see like all the vibrant colors are really on the walls. They're not really on the floor. They have like a bit washed out pastel colors on the floor, like in all the levels really. Like the floor is kind of lacking details. There's a little bit of details, but it's really washed out. While all the attack animations are very like vibrant, strong colors, which makes them very easy to spot on top of the ground, right? Since you have a top-down perspective, and I think that's extremely smart. So the game can look really good because you have like all the decorations on the wall and the characters popping all the attack animations, while still like keeping that really clear visual clarity. So that's, I think, like comparing to other action RPGs, like I think this is a step above all the other action RPGs in terms of visual clarity for like different attacks and like different area of effects and stuff going on the screen. So I really think they nailed that part, as well as all the animations for like when you actually are hitting enemies, when you're doing attack animations, the attack animations of the enemies are really spot on. Like if you see, they have very clear, and like when an enemy is about to hit, you can really see that from the animation extremely clearly. So you should know that you will get hit soon, which should give you enough time to dodge and do like the correct thing. They give you the opportunity to do so and the visual clarity to be able to tell when you're about to get hurt, right? And there's a few exceptions where it's a bit harder to spot, but like for like 99% of the time I would say they nailed this, and you should know when you should get out of the way. And a lot of games don't do this well, right? It's both the thing about the actual like area of effects and stuff not showing very clearly, but also the attack animations, like when they're preparing to strike you, that is not that well animated and not showing very clearly what is about to happen. So in that aspect, I also think Hades does this extremely well. Now from that, I think it's a natural like transitions to talk about the actual gameplay. So when it comes to gameplay, I think like what makes Hades 2 such a great roguelite game is like the combination of how the fights are actually happening, how your character grow throughout every run, and how every run is kind of unique, as well as how your character grow in between the runs and how the story develop in between the runs, right? So if we start with how your character grow during the run and how the fights develop during the runs, since you have a lot of different, like you pick up different type of boons from the gods that will help you. They might make your attack stronger or make your attack work in a different way. You have like some specials. You have different type of attacks, and those boons from the gods affect how those attacks work, which makes every run feel kind of unique. You can find different type of synergies that works. You also have different weapons to pick from that also makes like how you engage with the enemy. So even if like, all right, every level is, I should have structured this better, but like every level is procedurally generated. That's kind of part of the roguelite formula, but they are not very different, and the levels are kind of very like small. Every room in the levels are rather small, so that kind of doesn't really make a big difference. But what makes a big difference is how you engage with those enemies in the room, because you will pick up those different boons using different weapons. Like the fights can be handled in very, very different ways. And it's really kind of fun to try to find different type of synergies between different type of boons, different type of weapons, to find like really super strong combos. So I think that is part of what makes Hades 2 really engaging, how you develop through the run. Then they have this really smart system that you as a player get to grow in between every run and kind of try to tailor your character. You have a bunch of different like what you could call it, like different type of boosts that you can choose from before the run by switching. You have a bunch of cards that you can kind of memorize, things that makes you stronger, but that also will synergize with different kind of boons from the gods, right? So you can kind of go for like, I want to try to pick up a lot of boons from Zeus that makes my special stronger, and what would synergize with that from these cards, and try to kind of, and what weapon would synergize with that. And playing around with that is really engaging. So that's the character growth and your growth during the actual games. And the last part that makes the gameplay really good is the story, right? So a lot of roguelites, when you go through them, it's the same story. You just try to finish it, you try to get to the end. But in Hades 2, just like in Hades 1, so that's nothing new from Hades 1, is that the story develops as you play the game, and the game is reactive to your actions. So like if you enter a boss fight with very little health, the boss might actually comment on you looking really rugged up, like you not having much health. If you die to a boss, like a certain boss, when you get back to where it starts over, which is kind of this witch layer, right? The people there will comment on that, right? And you can develop your relationships with the different characters in the game, and kind of get to know more of the lore, more of the backstory throughout the gameplay. Like you need to actually play the game several times, die several times to discover everything there is to discover about like the relations between the different characters, the relations between them and you, and your backstory, their backstories. So everything is developing as you play. So no single run really feels like worthless, because it always gives you a bit of growth for your character, but also a bit more story. And I think that is really unique, that is really engaging, and that is something that makes Hades extremely like rewarding to play. And that is the reason that even if you usually don't like this type of games, this is a great entry for you into the roguelite and roguelike genre of games, because Hades 2 is so good and so rewarding that even if you're not used to this type of games, you probably will like it, right? I will probably get you into playing these types of games. Well, I think that was everything I had on why I think Hades 2 is such an amazing game. If you did like this video, I know it's not like my usual type of video. It's more like a talking kind of video. But if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Maybe subscribe to the channel. I don't know if I will make a lot more type of videos like this or not. I usually do kind of survival crafting games, let's build, let's plays, stuff like that. Not that much of this type of just like, you know, head to the camera talking, right? But anyway, you can check out what other content I have on my channel, and if you like it, well, subscribe, it helps the channel grow. And if not, don't, right? Alright, that was all. Cheers!